Chapter 1598. Nobody in the classroom dared to voice their anger and they were forced to accept it. Senior brother, you haven't given her a mission yet, Zhou Fu said to Zhang Zunyan as he suddenly pointed at Yuan Wan. And, I've given out all the missions to them already. Zhang Zunyan pondered over it for a moment before saying to Yuan Wan, ugly woman, you're lucky. I don't have any mission for you, so you'll help us clean our room for a month. Every corner, including the toilet in the bathroom, needs to be spotless, or prepare for the consequences. I'll give you our room address in a moment. After Zhang Zunyan said that, the 3 C-rank mercenaries cheerfully ambled out of the D-rank classroom. Yuan Wan looked like she didn't hear them at all and was uninterested in even looking at them, so she didn't pay attention to what Zhang Zunyan said. Blah. They want me to do missions for them. I have so many brothers protecting me. Do they think I'm easy prey? They should look up who my brother is first. Li Xian sneered with a snort. Zhou Tao and Zhou Fu both didn't dare to provoke Li Xian since he did have a few brothers at Scarlet Flames Academy. Who would dare to monitor him? Listen well. Remember the missions senior brother Zhang just issued, or else, you'll pay for the consequences yourself. I'm just reminding you out of kindness, Zhou Tao said while running his eyes over everyone in the room. And you, Yuan Wan, remember to clean their room thoroughly. Even the bathroom has to look brand new. Zhou Fu coldly said to the nonchalant-looking Yuan Wan. Yuan Wan didn't respond, as though she was immersed in her own world. Before Zhou Fu could say anything else, Li Xian's phone started ringing. Li Xian took the call immediately. What? Brother, you're here already. So quickly. Where? Oh, the cafe behind Scarlet Flames Academy. Okay, I know, I'll tell her. Li Xian hung up and turned to Yuan Wan. My brother is here. Yuan Wan stood up instantly and followed Li Xian out of the classroom. A moment later, the duo arrived at a cafe near Scarlet Flames Academy. This cafe was built by eldest young Master Shen near Scarlet Flames Academy so that he could have a convenient place to drink coffee. The prices were extremely expensive, so it was normally empty. After entering the cafe, Yuan Wan followed Li Xian to a private room. A young man was sitting in the chief seat in the room. Yuan Wan was surprised upon seeing the man. This man was one of Li Xian's older brothers. However, Yuan Wan found this brother very familiar looking. I think, he was amongst the group of mysterious people who tried to kill me back in China. Thankfully, she was rescued by that enigmatic white-haired man, or the consequences would have been too horrible to contemplate. You're here. The man looked at Li Xian and Yuan Wan with a smile. Have a seat. Yuan Wan and Li Xian sat down across from the man. Brother, this is my junior sister. She said she has a mission to issue and it's a good price, so she wanted to talk to you, Li Xian said to the man. The man examined Yuan Wan and aloofly said, Junior sister, my price isn't cheap. Yuan Wan gathered her emotions and smiled faintly. Money isn't a problem. As long as you can finish the mission I give you, you can list whatever price you want. Chapter 1599. Oh. List whatever I want, the man's eyes glinted. The people who entered a mercenary academy either lacked money or did it for fame and status. That wasn't to say that every mercenary did their work to earn money. For example, a money god like eldest young Master Shen was also at Scarlet Flames Academy, and it would be a ridiculous joke if someone claimed eldest young Master Shen acted as a mercenary for money. In other words, the woman in front of him didn't have a simple background. At least, she didn't lack money. Alright, then we can start our discussion. Tell me your mission rank first. If it's too high, I might not be able to finish it alone and need to find more people. The aloofness faded from the man's face and was replaced by a faint smile. S rank, Yuan Wan replied. S rank, the man frowned slightly. A S rank mission was too high in difficulty. Tell me the specifics first. Based on the mission's level alone, I can't take on a S-rank mission by myself, and you might not be able to pay the price, the man said. I want Worryless Nye's head. Yi Wanwan stared at the man, a bewitching smile turning up on her face. What? The man was stunned. Are you saying you want to kill Worryless Nye? Even Li Xian next to her jolted in fright. Kill Worryless Nye? She's kidding, right? What? Are you too afraid to do it? Yi Wanwan pursed her lips. Li Xian was bragging to me about how awesome you are, but it looks like you're not up to scratch. How disappointing. Yi Wanwan shook her head and stood up, preparing to leave. Upon seeing Yi Wanwan's departure, the man considered it for a moment before quickly saying, Junior sister, I didn't say I didn't dare to accept it. Yi Wanwan halted and returned to her seat. So you can accept it then? Ha, junior sister, just who are you? Do you know the price of S-rank mission? The man chuckled and imperceptibly observed Yi Wanwan. I remember saying that money isn't a problem, Yi Wanwan replied. Then why should I believe you? The man asked. Yi Wanwan looked at Li Xian. Li Xian, leave the room and keep guard for junior sister and me. Don't allow anyone to approach us, the man said. Oh. Alright, Li Xian nodded and had no choice but to leave. After Li Xian left, the man turned to Yi Wanwan. Junior sister, unless you have a proof of identity, I can't accept a S-rank mission. Then, is Bro Flattop's identity enough? Yi Wanwan chuckled coolly. Bro Flattop, the man murmured pensively. What did you say? The man shot up and stared at her in disbelief. This woman is saying, she's Bro Flattop. Which Bro Flattop? The man reflexively asked. Are there a lot of Bro Flattops in the independent state? Yi Wanwan snorted. You're saying, the Fearless Alliance's Bro Flattop, by phone. The man intently stared at her. I'm by phone, Yi Wanwan confirmed. Why should I believe you when you say you're by phone? Do you know anyone from the Fearless Alliance? Yi Wanwan asked him. Yes. 7-Star and Big Dipper. I've seen them a few times, the man replied after a moment of thought. Since he knew people, this was easy to resolve. Chapter 1600 Yi Wanwan video called Big Dipper immediately. Sis Phone, why did you suddenly video call me? How are you doing at Scarlet Flames Academy? Big Dipper was surprised by the sight of Yi Wanwan. The man slowly walked behind Yi Wanwan, and his expression changed as soon as he saw Big Dipper on the screen. Nothing, just wanted to see you, Yi Wanwan responded. Sis Phone, when are you coming back? Without you at the Fearless Alliance, First Elder and Third Elder are arguing non-stop every day. Big Dipper asked with irritation. I'll be back soon. See you later then. Yi Wanwan hung up the video call. After Yi Wanwan disconnected the call, she turned to the man. So will you accept the mission? You. President Bai, with your esteemed status, why would you hire a mercenary? The man returned to his seat, still in disbelief. What? I can't hire a mercenary. Yi Wanwan asked with a smile. Of course not. The man shook his head. The Fearless Alliance has many strong members. Of course, there are some things that aren't proper for the Fearless Alliance to do themselves, so they need mercenaries to resolve them on their behalf. Earlier, the Nye family, Yi Wanwan's eyes sparkled. That was what she wanted to know. However, the man seemed to have sensed something and hastily broke off, not saying anything more. President Bai, please tell me whatever you need, the man smiled. Also, don't worry about the confidentiality. A mercenary's most basic requirement is to keep their employer's information confidential. There's no way we would leak any information, even if that means our death. Yi Wanwan thoroughly believed in this point. Typically speaking, if a mercenary revealed their employer's information, they wouldn't have a home in the mercenary world anymore. Not only would they wreck their future, but they might also invoke destructive revenge and an attack from their employer. Hence, most mercenaries wouldn't reveal any information about their employers even if they had to die. I said I want Worryless Nye's head. As long as you can succeed, money isn't a problem, Yu Wanwan repeated. I believe that, of course, President Bai. With the Fearless Alliance's finances, the price of a S-rank mission is just an appetizer. The man nodded but looked a bit hesitant. However, President Bai, this mission isn't easy to do. President Bai should know that worryless Nye disappeared for many years, and even the Nye family can't find her. Nonsense. Yu Wanwan glanced at him. Isn't worryless Nye with the Nye family right now? The man was stuck between a rock and a hard place. The worryless Nye with the Nye family right now wasn't the true worryless Nye. They previously accepted a mission from the Nye family and were led by a confidant of Nye Linglong to China to kill the real worryless Nye. However, worryless Nye ended up being rescued by a white-haired man. Hence, it went without thinking that the worryless Nye in the Nye family absolutely wasn't the real one. Does President Bai want to kill the worryless Nye with the Nye family, or the missing worryless Nye? The man cautiously asked. What do you mean? Yu Wanwan asked coldly. President Bai, I can't divulge other information. Allow me to ask you though, when did your dispute with worryless Nye occur? The man inquired. Many years ago, Yu Wanwan fibbed after a moment of thought. Many years ago, so that's the real worryless Nye then, the man thought inwardly. President Fearless wanted him to kill the real worryless Nye, so it definitely wouldn't do if he killed the fake one. Moreover, what kind of place was the Nye residence? It was impossible for him to go to the Nye residence to kill someone. That was the same as asking for death. Chapter 1601, President Bai, to be truthful, I suspect the worryless Nye in the Nye residence right now is a fake, the man said with a frown. The true worryless Nye is actually in China. Aside from President Bai, there was also another employer who hired us to kill worryless Nye. Another employer? Who? Worryless Nye has quite a number of enemies, Yu Wanwan said nonchalantly. This. President Bai, I'm truly sorry, but us mercenaries can't reveal our employer's information, so I can't say anything. Otherwise, I could sell a past employer today, and I could sell you, President Bai, tomorrow. I believe President Bai will understand. Truthfully, Yu Wanwan could understand the story roughly without the man saying anything more. And, I understand. What happened later on? Yu Wanwan pursued. That worryless Nye seems to have lost her memory, but even so, we weren't successful in our trip in China because worryless Nye was rescued by someone else. How do you know you were hunting worryless Nye? Yu Wanwan continued to probe. If Nye Linglong was really the mastermind, why would she be dumb enough to tell mercenaries they were going to China to kill worryless Nye? Wasn't she be afraid of this matter being exposed? If Yu Wanwan was Nye Linglong, she wouldn't have divulged the target's identity. The employer didn't tell us to go kill worryless Nye, but, the employer had their subordinate go with us. When the subordinates saw the target back then, they blurted out the name, worryless Nye. I was standing rather close to them, so I was the only one who heard them, the man quietly explained. Yu Wanwan nodded. This man didn't look like he was lying. What were the results? Yu Wanwan asked. The result was. Worryless Nye was rescued by someone else, the man truthfully answered. Oh. There's someone in China who could tie your hands. That's unrealistic, no? Yu Wanwan snorted. It's a long story. That man had long silver-white hair and terrifying martial arts skills. He also carried a gun. Yu Wanwan's expression abruptly shifted. A man, silver-white hair, used a gun. Isn't that? The events of a certain night surfaced in Yu Wanwan's mind. She was driving in China and hit a man with long, silver hair. The front of the car was dented, but not a hair on the man was harmed. Later, she was ambushed by an assassination attempt from a group of mysterious people, and it was that man who pulled out a gun and repelled those mysterious assassins. Yet, this man who participated in the assassination attempt that night was saying their target was worryless Nye? A turbulent storm raged through Yu Wanwan's mind. Based on the implicit meaning of this man's words, she was worryless Nye. No matter how she thought about it, she couldn't figure out her relationship with worryless Nye. However, if she was the real worryless Nye, then everything could be explained. If she was worryless Nye, then it was reasonable for those mysterious assassins to try to kill her in China. Those assassins were connected with Nye Linglong because Nye Linglong sent mercenaries to China after learning about her identity and whereabouts. What Yu Wanwan didn't understand was how Nye Linglong learned about her identity and whereabouts. Alright, I understand. I'll investigate the matter clearly first before deciding, Yu Wanwan aloofly said while looking at the man after trying to calm down as much as she could. Chapter 1602, Then I'll wait until President Bai is done investigating. President Bai can contact me at any time if the need arises, the man said with a smile as he stood up. The man didn't truly care whether this deal went through or not, since being able to acquaint himself with the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bai Feng, was far more important than the outcome of this deal. Yes. I hope there won't be a third person who learns of our conversation today, Yu Wanwan said meaningfully. The man nodded frantically. Don't worry, President Bai. I naturally understand this. I won't divulge today's matters even at the risk of my death. After the man left, Li Xian ran inside, brimming with curiosity. He didn't know what kind of mission Yu Wanwan issued. However, Yu Wanwan left the cafe already. In a corner of Scarlet Flame's academy, Yu Wanwan was sitting on a bench with a deep frown. This news was too sudden for her, she didn't expect it at all. If she really was worryless Nye, then wasn't Madame Nye her biological mother and Nameless Nye her biological brother? Yu Wanwan's expression shifted. That means Tang Tang is my biological son. If my hypothesis is correct and I'm worryless Nye, then who's Tang Tang's father? Yu Wanwan's mind was an utter mess. After trying her best to smooth out her emotions, Yu Wanwan took a deep breath. She felt like something was still amiss. She could accept that her real identity was President Fearless, Bai Feng. But if she was worryless Nye, it was a bit unimaginable. Based on the timeline she conjectured, worryless Nye went missing at the same time as President Fearless, Bai Feng. Then could it be possible that worryless Nye had a second identity as Bai Feng? The logic didn't flow smoothly, but Yu Wanwan couldn't come up with a different hypothesis for the time being. While Yu Wanwan fretted about a lack of leads, a thought flashed through her mind. First Elder obtained a handful of machines that could conduct DNA testing. How about she tested her DNA with Tang Tang's DNA? If their DNA matched. Yu Wanwan didn't think this outcome was possible, but it was worth a shot. If it didn't match, she could eliminate the possibility of her connection with worryless Nye. Yu Wanwan dialed 7 stars number. Sis phone, 7 stars voice rang. Is the equipment that First Elder gathered earlier still there? Yu Wanwan asked frankly. Is Sis Feng referring to the testing equipment? 7 star asked. Yes, the testing equipment. It's still here. Alright, tell First Elder that he must keep the equipment, and ask him if there are any leftover samples from last time. Also, come pick me up from Scarlet Flame's Academy in the next 2 days. Okay, understood. 7 star was a bit confused and didn't understand what Yu Wanwan wanted to do, but he wouldn't pursue the matter. After hanging up, Yu Wanwan stood up and headed for the D-rank classroom. You're finally back, Zhou Tao said with displeasure as soon as Yu Wanwan entered the classroom. What is it? Yu Wanwan indifferently glanced at him. What is it? Zhou Fu snorted. Yu Wanwan, senior brother Zhang Zunyan told you to clean their dorm room earlier. Have you cleaned it yet? Yu Wanwan shook her head in exasperation and returned to her seat. She truly was too lazy to pay attention to these two. Chapter 1603, Zhou Fu's expression shifted upon being ignored by Yu Wanwan. She snorted and said, Yu Wanwan, who do you think you are? You're just a lowly D-rank mercenary and a newly enrolled student, but senior brother Zhang is a C-rank mercenary. Don't be ungrateful for the face I'm giving you. The expressions of the other students in the classroom all shifted. Yi Wanwan wasn't the only lowly D-rank mercenary there. Which one of them wasn't a D-rank mercenary? Zhou Fu managed to insult all the D-rank mercenaries with a sentence. Zhou Fu, aren't you also a D-rank mercenary? Aren't you also a new student? A newly enrolled student coldly questioned while staring at Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu snorted. I'm talking about Yi Wanwan, not you. What are you so aggravated about? Did you want to be a flower guardian? Flower guardian? Zhou Tao looked at his sister with a smile. Say, sister, you're kidding, right? How could you call Yi Wanwan a flower with her looks? Ha! A snicker came from outside the classroom, and Zhang Zunyan and his cohort languidly entered. So lively in here. Did you all finish your missions? Zhang Zunyan asked amiably, sweeping his eyes over everyone. Senior brother Zhang, Zhou Tao and Zhou Fu immediately went up and stood in front of Zhang Zunyan with a bootlicking smile on their faces. I had you two siblings monitor them. How did the monitoring go? Zhang Zunyan indifferently asked with a glance at the Zhou siblings. Zhou Tao hastily replied, Senior brother Zhang, don't worry. My sister and I didn't slack at all and watched over them the whole afternoon. However, some of the missions you issued can't be finished in a day and might need 2 or 3 days. Zhang Zunyan wasn't surprised and merely nodded. Not bad. Just monitor them closely. If they are lazy, he trailed off and turned to leave. Zhou Fu chased after Zhang Zunyan immediately and blocked him. What? Zhang Zunyan frowned when he saw someone standing in his way. Senior brother Zhang, we're monitoring them responsibly, but one of the new students is very arrogant and is utterly disrespecting senior brother Zhang, Zhou Fu said. Oh. A cold glint flickered through Zhang Zunyan's eyes, and he expressionlessly asked, who is it? That woman. Zhou Fu snorted and turned around, pointing at Yi Wanwan with her pointer finger. Her. Zhang Zunyan was briefly startled. He did have some recollection of the ugly woman who didn't look up from her desk despite the commotion. The missions were all issued, so he had this woman go and clean their dorm room. What? Was the dorm room not cleaned properly? Zhang Zunyan looked indifferent. Senior brother Zhang, it's not that it wasn't cleaned properly, Yi Wanwan didn't even go to clean it at all. As soon as you left, Yi Wanwan disappeared without a trace too. Zhou Tao tattled hastily. That's right. Senior brother Zhang, this woman is utterly disrespecting you. Zhou Fu nodded vehemently. Zhang Zunyan detachedly walked toward Yi Wanwan and an inexplicable smile spread across his lips as he knocked on her desk with his fingers. Yi Wanwan was originally contemplating her possible relationship with worryless Nye. At the interruption, Yi Wanwan looked up and saw the culprit, Zhang Zunyan. Chapter 1604, Ha. Junior sister, you're a bit distracted, Zhang Zunyan commented with a snort as he stared at Yi Wanwan. What is it? Yi Wanwan impatiently asked. Nothing. I just wanted to explain a principle to you, junior sister, Zhang Zunyan casually replied. Oh. What principle? I'm all ears. Yi Wanwan acted nonchalantly as well. Someone like Zhang Zunyan relied on the fact that he had a little seniority at Scarlet Flames Academy and went around everywhere, bullying new students and making new students finish the compulsive missions the academy assigned to him instead of finishing them himself. Yi Wanwan seriously didn't have any desire to even directly look at someone like him. At Scarlet Flames Academy, if you don't respect superiors and listen to your senior brother, the consequences are very severe. On the more severe side, you might die miserably. On the lighter side, you wouldn't be able to remain at Scarlet Flames Academy. Zhang Zunyan stared at Yi Wanwan with a curl of his lips. Is that so? I'd like to see then, Yi Wanwan coldly retorted. He was just a mere C-rank mercenary, but he really considered himself the tyrant of Scarlet Flames Academy. Ha! Zhang Zunyan stared at her. Not bad. I admire your temperament. But if a person's too sharp, they will only end up hurting themselves. Zhou Fu stood on the side with her brother. She thought Zhang Zunyan would definitely blow a fuse and ruthlessly teach Yi Wanwan a lesson. However, what Zhou Fu didn't expect was for Zhang Zunyan to not do anything and merely turn around after saying that, leading the other C-rank mercenaries out of the classroom. After Zhang Zunyan left, one of the more senior students walked to Yi Wanwan's side with a deep frown. Junior sister Yi, you were truly too impulsive. Yi Wanwan was confused. Impulsive? Yes, too impulsive, the young man sighed. Junior sister Yi, you just entered Scarlet Flames Academy, so you aren't familiar with the school. Zhang Zunyan isn't someone that normal people can provoke, what? Isn't he just a C-rank mercenary? What's so fearsome about him? Soon, I can also rise to C-rank. Li Xian suddenly came up with a face of derision. Junior sister Yi, don't be afraid. Zhang Zunyan wouldn't dare to do much to you, he's just good at bragging. I'd like to see how he'd make you die, Li Xian said to Yi Wanwan. Li Xian, how long have you been at Scarlet Flames Academy? Just 3 months. What do you know? The young man glanced at Li Xian. If Zhang Zunyan was merely a C-rank mercenary, it'd be fine. However, Zhang Zunyan is very smooth and slick with a clever head on his shoulders. He can thrive well amongst the high-ranked mercenaries, and they all call each other brothers. I even heard Zhang Zunyan is friends with senior brother Grim Reaper. Yi Wanwan was originally uninterested but was startled when she heard the title, Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper. Wasn't this alias bought by that moneybags from the Shin family? Grim Reaper? Which Grim Reaper, eldest young master Shin? Yi Wanwan reflexively asked. The young man was taken aback. He didn't expect Yi Wanwan to know about Grim Reaper's identity despite having only been at Scarlet Flames Academy for 2 days. Damn. Eldest young master of the Shin family. Which Shin family? Don't tell me it's the Shin family that's one of the 4 great clans of the independent state. Li Xian was stunned. Which of the 4 great clans didn't have a thunderous reputation? The surnames, Nya, Ji, Shen, and Ling, were too terrifying. That's right, it's that Shin family. The young man nodded enthusiastically. Also, I heard that eldest young master Shen is a S-rank mercenary, and all the mansions that the Scarlet Flames Academy's S-rank mercenaries live in are eldest young master Shen's masterpieces. He built them for the school. Chapter 1605 Yi Wanwan, oh wow, not bad, eldest young master Shen. I didn't expect him to do this well at Scarlet Flames Academy. Junior sister Yi. Pretend I didn't say anything. That bastard, Zhang Zunyan, isn't someone I can offend, Li Xian hastily said to Yi Wanwan. Junior sister Yi, the young man stared at Yi Wanwan, anyway, you better be careful. Zhang Zunyan definitely isn't someone to be trifled with. There was another newly enrolled D-rank mercenary who offended Zhang Zunyan and was intentionally targeted by an instructor. The instructor compulsively issued the new student a mission that a D-rank mercenary couldn't possibly finish, and the new student died during their mission. Okay, got it. Thank you for the warning. Yi Wanwan smiled at the young man. It had to be said that the majority of the people at Scarlet Flames Academy were quite decent. It was just a minority of people like Zhang Zunyan, Zhou Tao, and Zhou Fu who damaged Scarlet Flames Academy's reputation. Currently, in the instructor's office, Zhang Zunyan looked at the middle-aged man and asked with a light chuckle, Uncle, you're the one leading Yi Wanwan, right? The middle-aged man nodded. Yes, there's a student named Yi Wanwan. What about her? Nothing. It's just that I don't really want to see this person anymore, so you should help me give her some special care when you're issuing missions tomorrow, Uncle, Zhang Zunyan said lightly. Oh. Was Yi Wanwan blind and offended you? The middle-aged man looked pensive. Just so. Zhang Zunyan laughed. All right, I understand. The middle-aged man nodded and agreed. The next morning, inside the D-rank classroom, Yi Wanwan looked at information laying on her desk about the basic rules and structure of Scarlet Flames Academy and its mercenary system. Shortly after, an instructor entered the classroom. Upon seeing that all the new students were present, the instructor announced, "We will be issuing the compulsory missions today." Many newly enrolled mercenaries secretly prayed for the instructor to not issue them a mission that was too difficult. Typically speaking, mercenary academies required their students to finish several missions every month, and these missions were typically assigned by an instructor. Once the missions were assigned, the students couldn't decline them and had to accept them, so they were called compulsory missions. If students didn't accept them, they would be expelled from Scarlet Flames Academy. The instructor pulled out a stack of paper. After learning about their assigned mission, many new students smiled. Their missions weren't too difficult. There were also a few people who looked gloomy. Their compulsory missions looked a bit difficult. Yi Wan. The instructor's gaze landed on Yi Wan. Yi Wan looked up. Yi Wan, several students went missing in the northern part of Yun City, so head there and scout for news. Immediately report back any clues you discover, the instructor detachedly said while looking at her. Several experienced D-rank mercenary students' expressions shifted, and they reflexively turned to Yi Wan. The place the instructor mentioned not only had large, ferocious beasts but also contained many notoriously savage and evil people listed as wanted by the Martial Arts Union. Many defected mercenaries hid there too. Strictly speaking about the mission the instructor assigned to Yi Wan, there weren't any problems. But the location of the mission was extremely problematic. Even some high-ranked mercenaries wouldn't dare to accept this mission, let alone a new student. Chapter 1606. Some new mercenaries found it odd and thought Yi Wan offended this instructor, but many old mercenaries knew the matter wasn't that simple. Zhang Zunyan was probably behind this since this instructor was named Zhang De and was Zhang Zunyan's maternal uncle. Yi Wan, here's the information about the mission's location and the details you need to pay attention to. Come and take it, the instructor, Zhang De, said to Yi Wan aloofly. Zhou Tao looked delighted while Zhou Fu's lips were slightly turned up. She wanted to see how miserably this woman would die. However, Yi Wan didn't look like she intended to get up from her seat at all. Yi Wan, did you hear what I said? Zhang De asked. Sorry, instructor. I'm not that interested in this mission, so I don't plan to do it, Yi Wan suddenly said while looking at him. Everyone was taken back by her response. Didn't Yi Wan know about Scarlet Flames Academy's rules? Even the S-rank mercenaries would have to pack their bags and get lost if they didn't follow the Academy's rules, let alone new students. The instructor had a dark expression on his face as he stared at Yi Wan. Are you joking with me, Yi Wan? Yi Wan nodded. Instructor Zhang, I think you might have some misunderstanding. Oh. So you're planning to accept it then? Zhang De asked. What I mean is that I never joke with people I'm unfamiliar with. Yi Wan's lips curled into a bewitching smile. Hoots of laughter rang out in the classroom. Zhang De ominously pointed at Yi Wan. All right, since you won't accept it, then return to the dormitory now and pack up your bags before getting lost from Scarlet Flames. Get lost? Yi Wan snorted. Why do I need to get lost? Yi Wan, this is a rule at Scarlet Flames Academy, the instructor shouted. Then it appears you aren't too familiar with Scarlet Flames Academy's rules, Instructor Zhang. Any mercenary student who's unwilling to accept a compulsory mission from the Academy can waive it by accepting a mission from the mission board. Yi Wan calmly smiled. Zhang De snorted. That's right, that's a rule. However, the mission I assigned to you is considered a top D-rank mission, so if you had to accept a mission higher than this, you'd have to at least accept a top C-rank mission. A top C-rank mission was close to a B-rank mission. If this woman dared to accept a mission like that, she was all but dead. Alright, I'll go and accept one now. Yi Wan stood up with a smile and left the classroom, heading for the mission board. Zhang De immediately followed her. Go. Let's go and see, Li Xian suggested to the other students. Heh. That woman is simply trying to sound big. Who wouldn't say they'd take a top C rank mission? Zhou Tao snorted. Brother, don't say that. She has to pack her bags and scram soon. Zhou Fu smiled faintly. Every D-rank student in the classroom hustled toward the mission board. Currently, at the mission issuance area, there were many high-ranked mercenary students choosing missions suitable for them. Yi Wanwan slowly entered the area and grinned upon spotting one of the missions. A-rank mission, defeat Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance. Chapter 1607. Yi Wanwan smiled as she stared at the mission. Sorry, Big Dipper, I'll have to wrong you for now. Zhang De and the other D-rank students also arrived at the mission board. Upon seeing this, the high-ranking mercenaries were confused as to why these low D-rank students flooded to this place. Yi Wanwan, you just need to accept a top C-rank mission, and you won't have to do the compulsory mission, Zhang De said to her coldly. Heh. I think she should just accept fate and pack her bags, Zhou Fu, standing next to the instructor, mockingly taunted with a snort. Junior sister Yi, you mustn't be impulsive. The top C-rank missions are almost B-rank, and we're only D-rank mercenaries. Don't be impulsive. Li Xian fretted anxiously and advised her, afraid Yi Wanwan would lose all rationality and seriously accept a mission with a high fatality risk. Even if she had to leave Scarlet Flame's academy, she wouldn't lose her life for no reason. The low-ranking instructor, Zhang De, was obviously abusing his power for personal revenge as Zhang Zunyan's uncle and intentionally trying to make Yi Wanwan leave. The high-ranking mercenaries looked pensive. So this new student was unwilling to accept the school's compulsory mission and rashly came to the mission board with the intention of accepting a high-ranking mission. At this moment, an aloof man slowly walked toward Yi Wanwan. Many high-ranked mercenaries were startled at the sight of this man. Li Hanfeng, Elder Gong's most outstanding disciple in name. I heard there's a very high possibility Elder Gong will accept him as a personal disciple. Damn, so that's Li Hanfeng. He hasn't been at Scarlet Flame's academy for more than half a year but rose to A+ rank from a D-rank mercenary at the speed of light. I reckon it won't take long for Li Hanfeng to ascend to an S-rank mercenary. Are you Yi Wanwan? Li Hanfeng asked after examining Yi Wanwan for a long while. Yi Wanwan turned to Li Hanfeng. She got lost in thought while staring at the A-rank mission on the mission board, so she didn't notice when this man approached her or hear the discussion around her. You are? Yi Wanwan asked him with confusion. Who I am isn't important. So, are you Yi Wanwan? Li Hanfeng asked again. Yes, that's me. Yi Wanwan nodded with a strange expression on her face. She hadn't been at Scarlet Flame's academy for many days, so how did this high-ranking mercenary know her name? How do you know my name? Yi Wanwan questioned out of curiosity. However, Li Hanfeng merely shook his head and didn't say anything else. Yi Wanwan, are you done choosing yet? Zhou Tao pressed before Yi Wanwan could say anything else. Ha, Yi Wanwan, don't suffer just because you want to look good. I think you should just docilely return to the dormitory and grab all of your rubbish so you can stick with that poor grandfather of yours, Zhou Fu derided with a sneer. Yi Wanwan, if you still haven't chosen, I'll forcefully make you leave Scarlet Flame's academy. Zhang De coldly stared at her. Yi Wanwan smiled and ignored them. She walked a few steps so that she was within arm's reach of the bulletin board. Every mission was pasted onto the board like a sticky note. When a student ripped the mission slip off, it was the same as accepting that mission. Everyone in Scarlet Flame's academy knew this rule. Chapter 1608. Damn, you're really going to accept one. What mission are you accepting? Li Xian swiftly walked up and stood next to Yi Wanwan, reading the brief summary of the mission Yi Wanwan ripped off. A-rank mission, defeat Big Dipper of the Fearless Alliance and need video for proof. A-rank mission, Li Xian murmured, his expression abruptly shifting a second later. You've gone mad. It's over, you've gone mad, Li Xian stared at Yi Wanwan in shock. Yi Wanwan, did you rip off the wrong slip? Yi Wanwan looked at Li Xian and aloofly said, "That's right, the mission I accepted is a rank." Everyone present, whether it was the students from the D-rank class or the high-ranking mercenary students, was taken aback. It wasn't only an A-rank mission but it was also related to the Fearless Alliance. This woman had to be suicidal or she already planned to leave the academy and just wanted to express her displeasure before leaving. There had been students who accepted A-rank missions like this, or even S-rank missions, but didn't do anything after accepting them. Was this woman doing the same? Will this mission suffice? Yi Wanwan glanced at Zhang De while beaming. Zhang Da's face was dark as he coldly said, "A top C-rank mission will do, so an A-rank mission is fine, of course. However, are you sure you're going to do it?" I bet she's just pretending. I doubt she's actually going to do it." Zhou Tao was sneering with contempt. "You're the one pretending. How do you know Yi Wanwan doesn't have the strength to accomplish it?" Li Xian pointed at Zhou Tao. "What? I just know she won't be able to finish it. If she succeeds in this mission, I will kowtow in front of you 3 times and call you grandfather 3 times. Zhou Tao was scornful. Zhang De didn't let Li Xian respond before saying to Yi Wanwan, "All right, since you accepted it, you have to finish it. You have a 1-month limit for A-ranked missions. If you can't finish the mission in a month, you'll still be expelled from Scarlet Flame's Academy. Stalling for time is pointless." 1 month? Yi Wanwan was disdainful. No need for such a hassle. 3 days. I'll finish this mission within 3 days. If I can't finish it, I'll pack my bags myself and leave. Everyone put on an odd expression when they heard her. Where did this woman get her confidence? How could a mere new D-rank student be arrogant to this extent? She claimed she could finish an A-rank mission related to the Fearless Alliance within 3 days? Li Hanfeng furrowed his brows slightly. Master's newly accepted disciple in name, truly wasn't too bright. He had gleaned an understanding of the basic situation and originally planned to inform that low-ranking Scarlet Flame's instructor that Yi Wanwan was Elder Gong's disciple in name, but Yi Wanwan already accepted an A-rank mission. Now, even if Elder Gong personally stepped in, this wouldn't be an easy matter to resolve. No one could alter the rules of Scarlet Flame's Academy, even the headmaster had to obey them. "Junior sister, it's no big deal if you leave the academy, but you mustn't be reckless. Nothing is more important than your life," a good-looking female student advised Yi Wanwan out of kindness. Mercenary students typically didn't dare to easily accept any mission related to the Fearless Alliance, unless they were the genuinely high-ranking mercenaries. Chapter 1609, 1609, that's right. Junior sister, do you know the true meaning of an A-rank mission, especially one related to the Fearless Alliance? Big Dipper is the favorite of Bro Flattop, the president of the Fearless Alliance, and he has strong martial arts skills. A D-rank mercenary like you is basically serving up your life on a silver platter by accepting this mission, a chubby high-ranked mercenary interjected with a frown. Yi Wanwan smiled at those two in goodwill. The words of these two high-ranking mercenaries only applied to other people, but she was an exception. Not only did Yi Wanwan not regret taking the mission, but she also stepped forward again and ripped off another mission slip. Everyone looked at the mission summary. A-rank mission, defeat 7-star from the Fearless Alliance, need video for proof. Zhou Tao and Zhou Fu were clutching their stomachs and guffawing. Yi Wanwan, you're seriously smashing a pot to pieces just because it's cracked. If you can finish these 2 missions, I'll follow my brother's example and kowtow to you 3 times and call you ancestor. Zhou Fu sneered. I don't have grandchildren like you. Yi Wanwan glanced at Zhou Fu. What's there to bluff about? I'm telling you, you only have 1 month left. In 1 month, you'll be swept out of Scarlet Flame's Academy. Zhou Fu stared at Yi Wanwan intently. Yi Wanwan put away the mission slips and didn't want to waste her words anymore, so she turned around and headed for the school gates. She happened to need to return to Fearless Alliance anyway, so she'd finish these 2 missions while she was at it and save some trouble. Yu Wanwan called 7-star. Sis Feng, Big Dipper, and I have arrived at the base of Scarlet Flame's academy. The rules here don't permit us to drive up there, so please come down yourself, Sis Feng. 7-star's voice was emitted from her phone. Yu Wanwan voiced her compliance and started walking to the base of the mountain after hanging up. The road wasn't too long, so about an hour later, Yu Wanwan reached the base and entered 7-star's car. Sis Feng, didn't you just enter Scarlet Flame's academy? Did you get expelled already? Big Dipper curiously looked at her from the back seat. Yu Wanwan glanced at him. Couldn't this blabbermouth have higher hopes for her? I accepted 2 missions, Yu Wanwan replied. Missions? Big Dipper was instantly interested. What rank are the missions? Sis Feng, let me do them for you. They're easy peasy. Really? She stared at him. Of course. Big Dipper nodded vehemently. This mission isn't easy to do by myself, so I really do need some help from you two later. Yu Wanwan smiled mysteriously at Big Dipper and 7-star. No worries, Sis Feng. It's nothing. Big Dipper clapped his chest confidently. 7-star. 7-star didn't know if he was imagining it, but he sensed some inexplicable strangeness from Sis Feng's smile. Around evening, the trio arrived back at the Fearless Alliance's headquarters. As soon as Yu Wanwan entered the office, Great White and Virus stood up and sprinted to her side. Virus lay on the ground and pawed Yu Wanwan. She immediately knelt down and scratched Virus' chin with her right hand. President. First Elder's voice came from outside the door. Yu Wanwan swiftly stood up and walked to her office chair and sat down. First Elder soon entered the office and ignored Virus and Great White. He walked to the front of Yu Wanwan's desk and asked, President, I heard you needed me for something urgent. Chapter 1610, Do you still have the DNA testing equipment? Yu Wanwan asked. I do. First Elder nodded. You wanted to test something again, President? Yu Wanwan nodded and took out a strand of hair and handed it to First Elder. Use this hair I'm giving you and test it with the sample from box number 2. The box number 2 Yu Wanwan spoke of was the box containing Tang Tang's hair. Great, there happens to be a few strands left. First Elder nodded and carefully accepted the strand of hair from Yu Wanwan and placed it into a transparent Ziploc bag. That night, Yu Wanwan made time to visit the Nye residence with some clothes and snacks that she bought for Tang Tang and stayed the night there. The next morning, Yu Wanwan returned to the Fearless Alliance. First Elder, are the test results out? Yu Wanwan asked after she called First Elder to her office. President, it won't be that fast. You have to wait until 2 or 3 p.m. at least, First Elder answered truthfully. All right. Just tell me the results then. Yu Wanwan nodded. After First Elder left, Yu Wanwan called Big Dipper and 7-star over. Didn't I tell you earlier that I accepted 2 missions? Yu Wanwan asked with a light chuckle, looking at Big Dipper then 7-star. 7-star inquired, do you need some help, Sis Feng? Yes. The missions I accepted are related to you too. Yu Wanwan smiled. Related to us? Big Dipper was surprised. Sis Feng, just what kind of missions are they? Nothing much. I just need to beat you two up. It shouldn't be a problem for you two to cooperate with me, right? A gentle smile hung on her lips. Beat us up. No problem. Big Dipper was utterly dumbfounded. Which bastard issued this mission? I'm gonna kill him. Agreed, 7-star echoed calmly. I don't know who issued the mission, but I accepted it, Yu Wanwan said. Big Dipper looked at her in embarrassment. Sis Feng, how about, we switch missions? Otherwise, 7-star and I will end up dead, Yu Wanwan, I've wanted to beat you to death for a long time. Don't worry. It's just for show, and you just need to act realistically. I'll be very gentle. Yu Wanwan kept the gentle smile on her face. Sis Feng, are you telling the truth? Big Dipper looked doubtful. Of course I am. When have I ever lied to you? Yuan Wan furrowed her brows with displeasure. Big Dipper, 7-star. The group walked outside the headquarters, and Yuan Wan pulled up the camera on her phone and started recording. So you're Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance? A strangely ugly woman blocked Big Dipper. Yes, Sis Feng, that's me. Big Dipper nodded vehemently. Yuan Wan, this is the freaking 7th time you've called me Sis Feng. If you call me Sis Feng again, I'll seriously kill you. Yuan Wan deleted the video with aggravation and prepared to start recording again. I don't want to either, but I'm a bit nervous in front of the camera, again, Yuan Wan said with a frown. So you're Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance? Yuan Wan icily shouted as she expressionlessly stared at Big Dipper. That's right, I'm your grandfather Big Dipper. Who are you? Tell me your name, 'cause your grandfather's blade doesn't end a nameless ghost. Big Dipper flicked his sleeve and yelled back. Chapter 1611. You've freaking watched too many movies, haven't you? Can't you follow the script? Can't you? However, this was the best run-through from Big Dipper already. All Yuan Wan could do was follow Big Dipper's lead and keep acting. I'm Yuan Wan, a mercenary from Scarlet Flames Academy. Since you're Big Dipper, I've got the right person then. Yuan Wan snorted while staring at him. What? You're actually a mercenary from Scarlet Flames Academy? Who ordered you here to fight me? If you don't tell me, I'll kill you. Big Dipper looked furious. I can barely keep acting with Big Dipper as my opponent. I really miss my time as a manager in China. Enough rubbish. Yuan Wan was exasperated but had to persevere and continue. Fine. You're truly a contemptible wretch. Wait, no, you're truly a hard bone to chew. Are all of you Scarlet Flames mercenaries so hard? I don't believe it. I'm going to break your bones. Let's see if you'll confess then. Big Dipper viciously lunged toward Yuan Wan. You freaking. Who designed your lines? Yuan Wan snorted upon seeing Big Dipper attacking and struck with her palm. However, her palm was still in midair when Big Dipper suddenly howled with pain and flew back several meters before crashing to the ground heavily and wailing tragically like a pig being slaughtered. Yuan Wan stared at the ceaselessly wailing Big Dipper, her lips twitching. Where's my sword? Did I freaking touch you? Why did you fly back? Do I freaking have superpowers? Yuan Wan marched forward and grabbed Big Dipper by his belt, lifting him up. I'm asking you. Do I have superpowers? Do I have supernatural abilities? Big Dipper finally stopped his howling and looked at Yuan Wan, silently thinking for a moment before saying, Sis Feng, I think it's entirely plausible. My acting is super realistic and complements your unrivaled strength, Sis Feng. Look, you haven't even touched me and I already flew back and look seriously injured. When you go back to Scarlet Flames Academy, everyone will deeply revere you. So you've given much thought to this then, Yuan Wan said with a smile. That's right. Big Dipper nodded frantically. You truly understand me, Sis Feng. My acting is different from other people. If I went and became an actor, would I become a superstar? Do you want me to murder you? Yuan Wan gritted her teeth. She swore she'd never been so exasperated by someone before. There probably couldn't be more than one person like Big Dipper showing up every millennium. Sis Feng, tell me then, how should I act? I think this type of acting method is nearly perfect. Your standards are seriously too high, Sis Feng. Even if you really invited a superstar, I don't think they'd act as well as me. Sis Feng, why do I feel like you're about to cry? Big Dipper grinned innocuously, flashing his brilliantly white teeth. Yuan Wan, damn you. Follow this script. And learn the lines by heart. Yuan Wan tossed a sheet of paper at Big Dipper, looking utterly disappointed. Nearby, 7-star looked at Big Dipper and sighed. He calmly walked up and said to Yuan, since this isn't working, how about I go first, Sis Feng? Even 7-star couldn't tolerate Big Dipper's extremely exaggerated acting, let alone Yuan. Chapter 1612. 1612 Yuan nodded in agreement with 7-star's suggestion. They had nothing else to do anyway, so she could act out a round with 7-star first. I've also written your script, Yuan said to him. Sis Feng, no need for a script. This type of acting shouldn't be too hard, 7-star replied calmly. Old 7, Sis Feng isn't satisfied with even me. So let's not mention you. Just wait until you get a shouting. How arrogant are you to say you don't need a script? Big Dipper curled his lips contemptuously. Yuan deleted the previous video with Big Dipper and restarted the recording. She was a bit less worried about 7-star since he was more reliable than Big Dipper. This was an undeniable truth. So you're 7-star from the Fearless Alliance, Yuan said expressionlessly while staring at 7-star. 7-star turned around, indifferently examining Yuan. May I ask if you sought me out due to a conflict or a favor? 7-star aloofly asked Yuan. It's neither a conflict nor a favor. Just official business, Yuan replied. Based on your outfit, you must be a mercenary from Scarlet Flames Academy. 7-star smiled, unconcerned. People from the Independent States' 3 great academies sought me out in the past, but I'm still alive while they're dead. Would you still like to continue? Enough nonsense. My mission is to beat you up. Yuan sneered. However, as soon as Yuan finished speaking, 7-star disappeared from his spot. He took a step forward and immediately appeared in front of Yuan. Without a word, his hand shot toward her. Yuan was surprised. This lad's acting wasn't bad. Yuan dodged to the side instantly, and their right hands collided with each other. Bang! Kaboom! Strange noises came from Big Dipper's mouth. Yuan, 7-star, Yuan swore she would hack Big Dipper to death if she had a sword on hand. Yuan and 7-star tried to remain unaffected by Big Dipper and continued to fight. Kaboom, kaboom. Bang bang bang. Pow! However, Big Dipper's volume grew louder and his noises turned stranger. If you don't freaking give me a reasonable explanation, I won't be Sis Feng unless I kill you. Yuan threw out her acting shoes and seized Big Dipper by his right ear, dragging him toward her. I would also like to know what you're doing, 7-star added while looking at Big Dipper, who looked like he had been wronged. I'm providing sound effects for you. Is there a problem? Your fight didn't look imposing at all to me. Look at how silent it was when your palms slammed together. The kabooms, bangs, and POWs were my sound effects, Big Dipper hastily explained. Do you have a sword? Yuan looked at 7-star. I don't. 7-star shook his head. But I can go and grab one. Don't. Fine, I'll stop dubbing, Big Dipper urgently protested. If you appear in our shot again and continue your so-called dubbing, 7-star and I will beat you to death. Do you understand? Yuan fumed between gritted teeth. Understood, understood. I guarantee I will just sit on the side and won't move an inch. Big Dipper promised while clapping his chest. This time, Big Dipper learned his lesson and didn't continue making trouble. He merely sat on the side and watched, not daring to even breathe loudly. Half an hour later, Yuan's scene with 7-star finally concluded. Chapter 1613, Perfect. Yuan was beaming as she gave 7-star a hand from his position lying on the ground. 7-star's acting was absolutely satisfactory. It surpassed Luo Chen's, let alone Gong Su's. What was more frightening was that this was 7-star's first time acting. As long as you're satisfied, Sis Feng, 7-star said with a nod. Yu Wanwan stared at him pensively. His looks were coldly handsome, he was fairly young, his acting was good, and his martial arts skills were a giant thumbs up too. If she brought 7-star to China and introduced him to the entertainment industry there, taking on the role of his manager, he would absolutely become a money-making tree. If she was the one to package and mold 7-star, he would definitely become an international superstar. 7-star, is this really your first time acting? Yu Wanwan asked him doubtfully. Yes, 7-star replied. There's nearly no situation that requires acting here. Just as Yu Wanwan wanted to say something else, Big Dipper eagerly ran over to them and giggled. Sis Feng, what's there to praise about such crude acting skills? I can also act like that if you let me. Yu Wanwan glanced at Big Dipper and could only force herself to act out her scene with him. Big Dipper's acting this time was a tinge better than earlier. Yu Wanwan didn't want to continue wasting time, and the video shouldn't have any problems after some post-production editing. After recording the videos, a young member of the Fearless Alliance came running over. President. The Fearless Alliance member ingratiatingly looked at Yu Wanwan and carefully said, President, First Elder told me to come here to inform you that the matter you requested produced a result and he wanted you to go back and take a look immediately. What's the result? Yu Wanwan asked him curiously. This subordinate doesn't know. First Elder didn't tell this subordinate, the Fearless Alliance member answered. Let's go. We'll head back now, Yu Wanwan said to 7-star and Big Dipper. Soon, Yu Wanwan returned to the Fearless Alliance. First Elder placidly entered the office with a report in hand and stopped in front of Yu Wanwan's desk. What's the test result? Yu Wanwan asked First Elder. In truth, this test was ordered impulsively by Yu Wanwan. She didn't really think she could be worryless Nye since it was seriously too much of a stretch. President, the results are out. Take a look for yourself, First Elder said to Yu Wanwan with a smile as he gently placed the report on the desk. Yu Wanwan, didn't I say I couldn't understand the result at all last time? I can't read the contents. Tell me directly. Yu Wanwan had no choice but to be frank. President, according to the final results of the test, at least 99% of the DNA matches, First Elder quietly explained to her. Yu Wanwan was taken aback. At least 99% of the DNA matches. First Elder is saying. The scientific explanation for this is that there is a positive blood relationship, First Elder added. Yu Wanwan felt like a volcano erupted in her head and her mind turned blank. The load of information this time was truly too much and was more shocking than the result from last time that said the current worryless Nye was an impersonator. Yu Wanwan found herself unable to accept it. Upon seeing Yu Wanwan in a daze, First Elder furrowed his brows and looked at her with worry. President, are you okay? Chapter 1614 First Elder didn't know what had happened or the origin of the sample given to him by Yu Wanwan. However, based on Yu Wanwan's reaction, First Elder could guess that the owners of the sample had a deep relationship with Yu Wanwan. Ah. I'm fine. Yu Wanwan regained her wits and smiled at First Elder faintly. Alright, I understand. You've worked hard the last 2 days, you can head back now. President, you mustn't hide any problems from us. First Elder vaguely sensed that something big would happen due to this test result. After speaking, First Elder turned and left the office. After First Elder left, Yu Wanwan allowed her shock and whiplashed feelings to fully surface on her face. Yu Wanwan was extremely certain that the hair sample used in the test was hers and it was personally given by her to First Elder, so there couldn't be any mistake about that. In other words, the samples were indeed from her and Tang Tang. So the test result couldn't have any errors at all. I'm Tang Tang's biological mother. Yu Wanwan was flabbergasted, and disbelief enveloped her. Not only was she Tang Tang's mother, but she was also Madame Nye's daughter and Nameless Nye's biological younger sister. How could that be possible? Yu Wanwan murmured, finding it hard to accept. This way, that mercenary told the truth and didn't lie. The person they intended to assassinate in China was truly worryless Nya, her. Yuanwan was stupefied from head to toe. She somehow went to Scarlet Flame's academy, somehow met Li Xian, somehow sought out Li Xian's big brother, then somehow tested her DNA with Tangtang's. All of the aforementioned would be nothing if it weren't for the fact that the final test results somehow verified she really was worryless Nya, the second miss of the Nya family who went missing for many years. Yuanwan felt her head swelling as thousands of thoughts raced through her mind. If she really was worryless Nya, then who was Tangtang's father? Did she know Si Yihan when she was in the independent state back then and was still worryless Nya? If she knew Si Yihan, could Si Yihan be Tangtang's father? But if she really had a child with Si Yihan, could Si Yihan truly be absolutely clueless? Si Yihan obviously didn't know about Tang Tang. If she didn't have Tang Tang with Si Yihan, then who did she have Tang Tang with? Her fiancé, Ji Shuran? Soon, Yuanwan rejected this notion. If it really was Ji Shuran, how could he not acknowledge Tang Tang? Even if he didn't, the Ji family would acknowledge this grandson, right? Also, Nameless Nya previously mentioned that his sister, Worryless Nya, had Tang Tang with a wild man, so this wild man couldn't possibly be Ji Shuran. Wild man, Yuanwan murmured. Just who are they referring to as the wild man? Yuanwan naturally leaned towards Si Yihan being the father, but right now, the only person deeply related to Si Yihan, Lord Azura, still hadn't admitted he was Si Yihan. Even though Lord Azura was poisoned by the love goo, he remained unaffected. Right now, every clue pointed at Si Yihan though. As soon as Lord Azura admitted he was Si Yihan, many questions would be answered. Of course, she couldn't remember any of this. It would be best if she could have the headmaster of Scarlet Flame's academy help her. Otherwise, even if she knew she was worryless Nya, she wouldn't be able to remember anything. I'm actually worryless Nya, Yuanwan looked stunned. Chapter 16:15 Yuanwan stared at the test result in her hand with evident shock. Every memory fragment since her rebirth flashed through her mind like a carousel lantern. She lived 2 lives, but she still hadn't known who in the world she was until today. However, she was still puzzled about many things. Why didn't her grandfather's words to her and her memories match reality at all? If she was worryless Nya, how could she be Chinese and an orphan even though Madame Nya and Patriarch were evidently still alive? She even wondered whether her death in her previous life had a mystery behind it or was related to the independent state. Moreover, why did Si Yihan replace her memories? Just what happened back then that caused her to leave the independent state? Yuanwan's fingers slowly clenched around the report. She finally found out her background, but her mood became heavy and solemn. It was obvious Nya Linglong was currently keeping the entire Nya family in the dark. She was certain that the power behind Nya Linglong was extraordinary, or else she wouldn't have been able to bribe so many test centers in the independent state and manage to use a fake worryless Nya to fool everyone. Many of the internal factions under the Nya Linglong were probably under Nya Linglong's control already. Yuanwan couldn't surmise the real situation concerning Nya Linglong at all. After learning about the test results, her first reaction was to reunite with her family, but she rapidly calmed down after considering everything. If she did, she might act rashly, or she might bring danger to the Nya family and Tang Tang. She needed to figure out the power behind Nya Linglong along with Nya Linglong's objectives so she could make thorough preparations. Bai Feng's identity would allow her investigation to run more smoothly. Yuanwan took a deep breath before standing up to head to the Nya residence. Right now, the person she wanted to see the most was Tang Tang. Nya residence's main door. As soon as Yuanwan arrived, she saw Tang Tang at the main door. However, there was a man wearing a steward's uniform blocking Tang Tang and appeared to be speaking to him. Wasn't the Nya family's steward an elderly man? Why was there a different person? Judging from Tang Tang's expression, he was furious. Move! The little fellow was icily staring at the young steward in front of him. Little young master, please go back. The steward was bowing respectfully, but there wasn't any reverence or fear in his eyes. Instead, he looked fairly confident. Tang Tang's gaze turned harsh. Insolence. Since when can you tell me what to do? The young steward appeared to be shocked by the child's severe gaze and aura. He calmed down and continued to say uncaringly, "Little young master, this isn't my command, it's your mother's command. The independent state hasn't been peaceful lately, so it's too dangerous for you to willfully leave and go outside like this. Even if you made a ruckus in front of Madam and Patriarch, it'd be useless." Insolence. Are you threatening me? This subordinate wouldn't dare. This subordinate is merely doing as Second Miss ordered. Second Miss is doing this for your own good. Guards, send little young master back to his room. Tang Tang lost his patience and ignored that young steward, heading straight for the door. The steward immediately ordered coldly, "Why are you standing around? Hurry and stop little young master." The guards in black on the side immediately rushed forward and blocked Tang Tang's path. Meanwhile, the young steward grabbed Tang Tang's arm, wanting to forcefully drag him back. Chapter 16:16 Chapter 16:16 Baby, don't be scared, mommy's here, little young master, you should head back with us nicely. Don't make things hard for us. The young steward grabbed Tang Tang and forcefully dragged Tang Tang inside when he saw Tang Tang's non-compliance. Watching this scene, Yi Wanwan felt like an inferno was burning in her chest. Her eyes chilled, and she marched toward the door. "Release him," Yi Wanwan ordered. Tang Tang jolted when he heard Yi Wanwan's voice, his enraged eyes filling with surprise and joy. He spun around and shook off the steward's hand before swiftly leaping toward Yi Wanwan. "Mommy." Yi Wanwan knelt down and caught the tiny figure. "Mommy." The little fella plastered himself into Yi Wanwan's arms, his figure trembling slightly. "Mommy. Mommy." As Yi Wanwan listened to the little fella's repeated calls of "Mommy," she felt like an iron claw was gripping her heart tightly, and her heart spasmed with waves of pain. "It's fine, baby, don't be scared. Mommy's here. Mommy." Tang Tang missed Mommy. Tang Tang wanted to go see Mommy. Heartache filled Yi Wanwan as she listened to the little fella's childish voice. From the looks of it, the fake worryless Nya purposefully didn't want her to be too close to Tang Tang, so she had to ground Tang Tang and prohibit him from leaving the Nya residence. She listed Tang Tang's safety as the reason so that even Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya wouldn't oppose and would even back her up. Yi Wanwan previously didn't know her identity, so she tried her best to avoid getting too intimate with Tang Tang in order to not impact Tang Tang's relationship with his biological mother. She knew Tang Tang really liked her but still restrained herself from seeing him. She didn't expect to hurt Tang Tang in the end. Yi Wanwan's heart was about to shatter as she watched the little fella sticking to her like a ball of mochi. "President Bai, this is the Nya residence, not your fearless alliance. Out of consideration for eldest young master, we allow you to enter as you please, but it doesn't mean you can behave atrociously here. I'm advising you to mind your own business," the young steward imperiously said. This steward had to be Nya Linglong's underling. Yi Wanwan ignored the steward's threat and warning and patted Tang Tang's head in comfort. Then she looked at the steward's right hand without a trace of warmth in her eyes. "Just now, you used that hand to touch him." The young man haughtily glanced at her from the corner of his eye. "What?" "Tang Tang, close your eyes," Yi Wanwan instructed Tang Tang. The little fella didn't know the reason but immediately closed his eyes obediently. "Okay." A second later, a shriek like a pig being slaughtered rang throughout the estate. "Ah!" This shriek was accompanied by a bone-chilling cracking sound. In the blink of an eye, Yi Wanwan had forcefully broken the man's wrist. Ah! The man rolled back and forth on the ground while clutching his wrist in pain. If she used her normal strength, she absolutely couldn't have snapped an adult man's wrist with ease like that. However, with fury raging through her mind, it appeared natural she could do that. Before, Yu Wanwan never understood why incomprehensible martial arts strength occasionally exploded out of her. Now, she finally understood. This was strength that belonged to worryless Nya, her true self. However, due to her lack of memories, her abilities were very unstable and couldn't be controlled. Chapter 16-17 Chapter 16-17 There's nothing that I, Bai Feng, am scared of. She had to meet with Scarlet Flame's Academy's headmaster as soon as possible and recover her memory. Otherwise, with her current situation, not only could she not protect herself, but she also couldn't protect the people she wanted to protect. Bai Feng. You actually dared to act atrociously in front of the Nia residence. The young steward viciously glared at her, malice brewing in his eyes. Baby, you can open your eyes now, Yu Wanwan said to Tang Tang with an oddly gentle tone as she leaned down before immediately chillingly glancing at the man lying on the ground. She chuckled lightly. Ha, there's nothing that I, Bai Feng, am scared of in this world. Do you want to try me? It had to be said that it was quite satisfying to use her identity as the independent state's tyrant. Now that she could use her identity as the president of the Fearless Alliance to investigate Nia Linglong, and since the enemy was in the light while she was in the dark, it was more advantageous for her. The steward was probably wary of the Fearless Alliance's name and recalled their terrorizing style, so reluctance flashed through his eyes, and he didn't say anything more. Yu Wanwan was originally worried she acted too violently and would be disliked by Tang Tang. However, Tang Tang was looking up at her with sparkling eyes as he exclaimed, "Mommy's really awesome." Yu Wanwan's eyes softened, filling with heartache. Mommy isn't awesome at all. Mommy caused you to be alone ever since you were born. Mommy didn't even know about your existence. Tang Tang, how about Mommy takes you out to play today? Yu Wanwan asked the little fella. The young master steward got up and angrily shouted, "Bai Feng, Miss Worryless ordered that no one is permitted to leave the Nia residence with little young master. Do you know the consequences of brazenly kidnapping our little young master?" As soon as the steward spoke, the guards blocked Yu Wanwan's path instantly. Kidnap? She was Madame Nia's foster daughter, and Madame Nia told her that she could enter and leave as she pleased. If they were worried about Tang Tang's safety, nothing was safer than being with her, the president of the Fearless Alliance. These people were merely instructed by Nia Linglong and worryless Nia, and purely wanted to make trouble. Hence, she didn't plan to talk logic with them. Yu Wanwan was holding Tang Tang's little hand when her lips turned up as she nonchalantly ran her eyes over everyone present. "It appears you'd all like to see my Fearless Alliance's 7-kill order for yourself." When the guards present heard the words 7-kill order, chills automatically ran down their backs as though they recalled something extremely terrifying. The entire clan would be destroyed within 7 days, there'd never been an exception. Although failing their duty would cause them to face punishment from the Patriarch, provoking the Fearless Alliance would cause their whole family to be destroyed. Moreover, who was Bai Feng? With her martial arts skills, they wouldn't be a match for her even if they had double the enforcements. After all, she snapped the steward's wrist without batting her eyes just moments ago. These guards also knew very well that little young master wouldn't be in any danger with Bai Feng. It was just that second miss prohibited little young master from leaving the house. After a moment of deliberation, everyone looked at each other and simultaneously paused in their steps. Under everyone's fearful gazes, Yu Wanwan directly led Tang Tang by the hand and left the Nia residence. The little fella tightly clasped his mommy's hand, afraid she'd let it go. Behind them, the steward clutched his wrist with a dark expression. Quickly tell second miss and third miss to come back, and inform Madam and Patriarch that Bai Feng from the Fearless Alliance abducted little young master. Chapter 16-18 Chapter 16-18 They could do anything. Yu Wanwan led Tang Tang out of the estate's gates. The little fella suddenly dropped his head and stopped walking. "Tang Tang, what is it?" Yu Wanwan asked as she leaned down. "Mommy. Tang Tang should go back," the little fella quietly said. Yi Wanwan blinked. Why? Tang Tang doesn't want to be with mommy. The little fella immediately looked up emotionally. Of course not. Tang Tang wants to be with mommy. Tang Tang always wants to be with mommy. But Grandpa and Grandma will get angry. Tang Tang doesn't want to cause trouble for mommy. He knew that even if Grandpa and Grandma didn't do anything to him, he'd definitely cause trouble for mommy. Yi Wanwan was incredibly moved by the little fella's consideration. She gently said, "Don't worry, baby, you won't. Mommy's here. Mommy guarantees Grandpa and Grandma won't be angry and mommy won't get into trouble, so don't worry and come with mommy, okay?" Ha, even if there was trouble, it would be other people getting into trouble. Okay. The little fella vehemently nodded, his eyes brimming with trust and dependence. Mommy, Can mommy call Tang Tang baby again? The little fella asked hesitantly. Yi Wanwan chuckled softly. Of course. Tang Tang is forever mommy's baby. The little fella immediately replied back with sparkling eyes, Mommy is also Tang Tang's baby. Yi Wanwan met his eyes, shining as bright as the starry night, and couldn't help but clutch her chest. Heavens! How can my precious baby be so adorable and cute? Such an adorable and cute child is actually my child. Mine. Her eyes were nearly spitting fire from envy the first time. She wondered just what kind of genes his parents had to have to produce such an adorable and pretty child. She never would have expected herself to be Tang Tang's mom. This was simply too miraculous. She was clueless about the circumstances in which she had Tang Tang. She actually didn't have any memories of this event. Such a precious memory. Just what in the world happened back then that could make her bear to abandon Tang Tang? She was clueless about the identity of Tang Tang's father too. Yi Wanwan gently looked at the little fella. Baby, can you call me mommy again? The little fella happily agreed, of course, and childishly called, Mommy, good boy. Yi Wanwan patted the child's head and forcefully repressed her intense emotions before saying, Oh right, Tang Tang, I heard your uncle mentioning it's your mom's birthday in a few days. She previously learned from Nameless Nya that Worryless Nya's birthday was November 23rd. In other words, her true birthday was November 23rd. When the little fella heard Yi Wanwan mention that, Mom, his eyes dimmed, and he nodded. Yes. Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted, and she rubbed her chin as she said, how about this, baby? I'll bring you to a cake shop for fun today, and you can personally make a cake for your mom. It can be a birthday surprise for her. Tang Tang cast down his eyes, struggle evident on his little face. Will mommy accompany Tang Tang? Yi Wanwan smiled. Of course mommy will accompany Tang Tang. Mommy will accompany Tang Tang the whole day today. The little fella's face brightened instantly. Tang Tang wants to go, as long as he could be with mommy for longer, they could do anything. Chapter 1619. After leaving the Nia residence, Yi Wanwan brought Tang Tang to the most high-end custom-made cake shop in the Independent State. As soon as Yi Wanwan arrived, the owner fearfully came out to receive them personally. He immediately prepared all the ingredients and equipment when he discovered Yi Wanwan wanted to make a cake personally. When Yi Wanwan first suggested this, the little fella looked a bit unwilling, but when they started making the cake together, it was evident he was particularly happy. Yi Wanwan couldn't help but have mixed feelings as she watched Tang Tang's joyful appearance. This wasn't the right timing for her to tell Tang Tang the truth, so right now, that fake worryless Nya was his real mother to him. Mommy, Tang Tang's done. Tang Tang's voice caused Yi Wanwan to return to the present. Her vision cleared and she saw that Tang Tang finished handcrafting his cake. The cake had flowers meticulously crafted from icing which were lining the edges and a giant heart made from cherries placed in the center. It's very beautiful. Tang Tang's too awesome. Yi Wanwan praised him immediately. The little fella shyly pursed his lips before lifting the cake and handing it to Yi Wanwan. Mommy, it's for you. Yi Wanwan was taken back. For me? Didn't you make it for your mom? Tang Tang brightly stared at her and seriously said, "But Tang Tang wants to give it to mommy." This is Tang Tang's first time making a cake, so Tang Tang wants to give it to mommy. The mommy that Tang Tang was referring to was her. Because this was his first time making it, it was the most important, so he wanted to give it to her. Warmth flowed through Yuanwan's heart, and she leaned over to embrace the little fella. "Thank you. Thank you, Tang Tang, thank you, my baby, this is the most precious birthday present I've ever received. Does mommy like it?" "I like it. Of course I like it." "Then let's eat it together, mommy." "Okay." Mother and son devoured the little cake together before making another one. This time, the little fella only made a few flowers and leaves with the icing but didn't place a heart in the center. The little fella's mood plunged as soon as they finished packing up the cake. "Mommy, are you going to take me home now?" Yuanwan glanced at the time. "It's still early. Mommy will take you to have dinner first, how about that?" Tang Tang nodded instantly. "Yes." And so, Yuanwan left the cake shop, one hand holding Tang Tang and the other hand holding the cake. However, the moment they stepped out of the shop, Yuanwan discovered a sea of people in front of them, and they didn't have any room to walk. "What's going on up ahead?" Yuanwan mumbled. A person trying to squeeze through the crowd answered, "The Shin family's food street is having a grand opening up ahead, and there's a giant promotion on the first day. Everything is free." The Shin family's food street was having a grand opening. Yuanwan's lips twitched. It truly was the Shin family's style to make everything free. "Mommy," the place was rather crowded, so Tang Tang anxiously grasped the edge of Yuanwan's clothes. "Mommy, stay close to Tang Tang. Don't get separated from me." Yuanwan chuckled lightly and clasped Tang Tang's hand. "This way we won't get separated." Joy filled the little fella's eyes and his lips curved upwards, two cute dimples emerging from his fair cheeks. "And, I want to hold mommy's hand forever." Since foot traffic was heavy up ahead and the food street was developed by the independent states tycoon, the Shin family, it should be decent. Hence, Yuanwan led Tang Tang forward to join the festivities. Chapter 1620. The food street was brightly lit and decorated with glittering gold. The wide assortment of exquisitely made street food made everyone dizzy from the selection and drool with desire. Moreover, everything was free, so it attracted a torrent of customers and unusual liveliness in the area. For some reason, Yuanwan recalled that time in China where she and Si Yihan brought Tang Tang to the amusement park and their family of 3 spent the whole day having fun there. Yuanwan gathered her thoughts and asked, "Baby, what do you want to eat?" Tang Tang's head swirled left and right. It was obvious he was dazzled from the selection. Hence, Yuanwan generously waved her hand. "Then let's taste every one of them." Yuanwan kept shopping as she walked and purchased takoyaki, skewers, cold noodles, and all kinds of street food, eagerly stuffing it into the little fella's hands after buying it. As the mother and son duo ate while they walked, a person suddenly charged toward her like a whirlwind. "Ah, beautiful miss, we meet again." Yuanwan saw the newcomer and her brows raised. "Young Master Shen, that's right, that's right. What an extreme honor that you still remember me, beautiful miss. Look at this beautiful setting around us. Aren't you bored by yourself, beautiful miss? Why don't you allow me to accompany you?" Shen Tianchen was joyfully hitting on her when he suddenly detected a sharp gaze shooting toward him like a dagger. Only then did Shen Tianchen look down and meet a pair of bright and icy eyes. "Apologies, mommy isn't by herself," the little fella solemnly stated while staring at the man above him, his hand firmly holding onto his mommy's hand. You are." Shen Tianchen stared in shock at the child calling Yuanwan mommy. Yuanwan chuckled softly and patted the ruffled child. "He's my son." The little fellow was startled at first before resplendent light shot out of his eyes. What? You have a son?" Shen Tianchen was shocked. Yu Wanwan thought it would be perfect to use Tang Tang to eliminate Shen Tianqin's crush. Hence, she said, yeah. What? Is that a problem? Adoration brimmed from the man's expression. For a woman who's endowed with beauty but also intelligence but also martial strength, and martial strength but also viciousness like President Bai, it'd be logical for you to have 10 sons, let alone one. Don't worry, beautiful miss, I absolutely don't mind. Yu Wanwan, what? 10 sons? Can't he say less scary things? I'm shocked enough with one son. When Tang Tang heard him, his little face darkened again and his displeasure grew as he stared at Shen Tianqin. Beautiful miss, eat anything you want here. Shen Tianqin generously proclaimed, exemplifying a filthy rich person. Couldn't I eat whatever I wanted to begin with? Ah. That's true. But you should be treated differently, beautiful miss. I'll personally accompany you today. Shen Tianqin said. Yu Wanwan was exasperated. I don't need it, okay? Unfortunately, Shen Tianqin wasn't an easy person to dismiss. He forcefully followed her and Tang Tang the whole time with an especially eagerly attentive attitude. After all, since this whole street belonged to his family, Yu Wanwan couldn't get rid of him even if she wanted to. Mommy, Tang Tang cautiously stared at Shen Tianqin and covertly pulled her hand. Yu Wanwan looked down and asked quietly, what is it, baby? Tang Tang hesitated for half a day before saying with a solemn expression, Mommy, please don't like this person. Chapter 16:21 Yu Wanwan broke into laughter. Why? Tang Tang answered immediately, he doesn't suit Mommy. Yu Wanwan was intrigued. Oh. If he doesn't suit Mommy, then who do you think suits Mommy? The little fella lowered his eyes and sunk into contemplation. Beautiful miss, try this. I'll feed you. Shen Tianqin eagerly approached her with a tanghulu one in hand. Yu Wanwan had a headache as she looked at Shen Tianqin. Since a roundabout rejection was useless, she could only straightforwardly say, apologies, young Master Shen, but I already like someone else. Shen Tianqin didn't look like he cared at all and grinned as he replied, I know. You like beautiful men, President Bai. If we're talking about looks, I should meet your standards, right, President Bai? Yu Wanwan's lips twitched. Just how bad was Bai Feng's reputation? Did everyone know about her lascivious nature? Yu Wanwan helplessly explained, that's not what I meant. I'm saying I have a lover. He's the one and only true love of my life and not someone I'm casually having fun with. Shen Tianqin righteously said, President Bai, for a woman who's endowed with beauty but also intelligence but also martial strength, and martial strength but also viciousness like you, how could you halt your steps for a single flower? Your path should traverse the universe. There are still so many beautiful men waiting for you to conquer them, like me for example, that's enough. Yu Wanwan couldn't get through to him no matter what she said and was agonizing over how to ditch Shen Tianqin when she heard a gentle voice ahead of them. Xiao Feng. Ji Shuran. Yu Wanwan didn't know how to describe her mood upon seeing Ji Shuran under these circumstances. She had been impersonating Bai Feng, Ji Shuran's fiancé, so she didn't have any mental barriers about this before and it was fine for her to act in front of him. Now though, who could have expected her real identity to actually be Ji Shuran's fiancé? She didn't have the words to describe her feelings. What further complicated her mood was that she recalled Madame Nye saying it was Ji Shuran who broke the engagement back then and was unwilling to marry worryless Nye. Ji Shuran rejected the Nye family's engagement and secretly got together with Bai Feng. Does this mean I was cheated on by Ji Shuran? Before Yu Wanwan could respond, Tang Tang swiftly darted forward to Ji Shuran and cheerfully shouted, Uncle Ji, Uncle Ji. Tang Tang really missed you. A warm smile spread across Ji Shuran's face and he reached out, his large hand patting the little fella's head. Yu Wanwan couldn't help but feel surprised upon seeing this, and her temples twitched. Tang Tang rarely acted so enthusiastically toward anyone but her. Yi Wanwan didn't expect him to be so familiar with Ji Shuran. However, thinking about it, it wasn't too strange. The Ji family and the Nya family had an amicable relationship, and Ji Shuran and Wurilis Nya, aka her, even once had an engagement, so it was normal for Ji Shuran to know Tang Tang. Theoretically speaking though, if Tang Tang wasn't Ji Shuran's son, it meant Ji Shuran was cheated on, so how come Ji Shuran still treated Tang Tang so nicely? Did this mean Tang Tang couldn't be Ji Shuran and her child, right? Yi Wanwan was shocked by her own wild imagination. Chapter 1622 Mommy, Tang Tang called as he led Ji Shuran toward Yi Wanwan, waking her up. Mommy, this is my Uncle Ji. The difference in the little fella's attitude toward Ji Shuran and Shen Tianchen was like night and day, and he passionately introduced Ji Shuran to her. The little fella turned to Ji Shuran. Uncle Ji, this is my mommy who I mentioned to you. Ji Shuran chuckled lightly. I know your mommy. Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. It was more than just knowing. They're even secret lovers. Really? Joyful surprise filled the little fella's face instantly. Ah! Emperor Ji, what a coincidence. I'm currently accompanying President Bai with her shopping. Shen Tianchen waved his hand holding the tanghulu. Ji Shuran didn't react oddly to his words and faintly smiled at the other man. Congratulations on opening a business, young Master Shen. I prepared some humble gifts for you and sent them to your home. Ah, you're too polite, Emperor Ji. Shen Tianchen smiled radiantly. Ji Shuran smiled before turning to Yi Wanwan. He used one hand to expertly take the cake box from her hand as well as the bags of snacks before holding Tang Tang with the other hand. Then he said to Shen Tianchen. Thank you for taking care of Xiao Feng, young Master Shen. Shen Tianchen's mouth turned O-shaped upon seeing this. What's going on? Emperor Ji and Bai Feng, Emperor Ji can't possibly be interested in the beautiful Miss too, right? Shen Tianchen was confident beautiful Miss Bai wouldn't reject him since he was equipped with both money and looks. Now though, this love rival was rather strong. Sweat slid down Shen Tianchen's forehead. President Bai, when you said there was someone you liked earlier, could it be that Emperor Ji is that one and only true love in your life? As Shen Tianchen said that, he wondered who this beautiful miss had this child with if things were like that. What happened to the one and only true love in her life that she mentioned? She wasn't trying to fool him, right? Due to her desire to get rid of Shen Tianchen and her strong survival instinct when facing Ji Shuran, Yi Wanwan nodded vehemently. That's right. Tang Tang blinked, appearing to be elated. Ji Shuran retained the same calm and unperturbed expression from the beginning. It might be Yi Wanwan's imagination, but she felt like Ji Shuran's smile seemed a few degrees warmer than his usual characteristic smile. Shen Tianchen's head pounded as soon as he heard that. He wasn't scared of many people in the entire independent state when it came to charming women. However, the love rival in front of him was truly too frightening. Shen Tianchen hesitated for a long while and decided it was a bit too difficult and dangerous to have a standoff against Emperor Ji. He finally asked, Beautiful Miss, do you accept concubines? Yi Wanwan simply wanted to cudgel him to death for daring to ask her if she took concubines in front of Ji Shuran. I don't take any, alright? Since the independent state revered the strong, and men and women were equals, powerful men weren't the only ones who could be rich in beautiful paramours, women also could. I have no choice then. We can only have a fair competition. Shen Tianchen sighed. Shen Tianchen immediately took out a sparkling gold key from his pocket. Beautiful miss, this is the key to our Shen Tianchen's treasury. A word from you and I can use this as your betrothal gift. Yi Wanwan, what happened to a fair competition? Chapter 1623 Yuanwan facepalmed, exasperated. No thanks, she really wasn't interested in mountains of gold and silver. It was useless. But this. Forget it. After being rejected, Shen Tianqin stared at her and questioned, but... President Bai, isn't there something wrong with what you said earlier? If Emperor Ji is supposedly your one and only true love in your life, then who's the father of your son? Yuanwan, why is this landlord's foolish son so hard to placate? I should just kill him now. While Yuanwan was agonizing over her desire to beat him up, Tang Tang suddenly stared at a nearby spot and called, Daddy, huh? Daddy? What the hell? Yuanwan reflexively followed Tang Tang's gaze. And, she actually saw, a man wearing a black suit and emitting a chilly aura as always. Lord Azura. The man just exited from the entrance of a high-end clubhouse with a group of followers trailing behind him. His eyes imperceptibly swept across Yuanwan, Emperor Ji, and Tang Tang, who were standing together like a family of three. His eyes turned as icy as the wintry Arctic, and a frigid aura radiated from him. Does it, freaking have to be so coincidental? Yuanwan had intentionally given Lord Azura the cold shoulder for a period of time and didn't expect to run into him under these circumstances after many days of separation. Shit. Shen Tianqin's jaw was about to drop as he stared at the man who Tang Tang called Daddy. Wasn't this Lord Azura? What did this child call Lord Azura? Bai Feng actually managed to charm Lord Azura, and they had such a big child already? Then what was the situation with Ji Shuran? So, she was two-timing. Admiration brimmed from Shen Tianqin's eyes as he turned to Yuanwan. He thought he was unruly enough already but didn't expect her to be even more arrogant. Her harem was rather impressive. Daddy, Tang Tang automatically called when he saw that familiar face, a face he saw every day during his 3 months in China. Although their father and son relationship seemed aloof in China, there was obvious joy in Tang Tang's eyes when he saw the newcomer. Lord Azura, Shen Tianqin was stupefied. Cherub, what did you just call him? When Lord Azura saw the little fella holding hands with Ji Shuran, his cold eyes seemed to sparkle for a second like ice melting a tinge, but soon, aloofness returned, and he looked at the child like a stranger. Tang Tang detected the man's reaction, his brows furrowing and face dimming. Confusion also entered his face. Yuanwan ignored Shen Tianqin's exclamation. After noticing Tang Tang's emotions, she looked down and explained to him, Tang Tang, he isn't the person you know. They merely look alike. She couldn't explain everything to Tang Tang, so she could only tell him that. Not Daddy, the little fella mumbled with a frown and looked up to examine the other man again. Their hair color is obviously the only thing different though. Yuanwan gathered her thoughts and calmly greeted, Lord Azura, what a coincidence. We meet again. Vixen, Jiang Yan, standing behind Lord Azura, didn't vocalize this, but the shape of his lips made it apparent he was saying that. Chapter 1624 She had an ambiguous relationship with Emperor Ji one moment and seduced Shen Tianqin the next moment. How could my lord be tarnished by this kind of woman? As soon as he recalled the night when he accidentally stumbled into his lord's room and witnessed what this woman did to his lord, he felt like his lord suffered cosmic humiliation and sullying. He had to find the antidote for the goo poison no matter what. Lord Azura expressionlessly nodded at her in greeting. President Bai. His expression looked like they weren't familiar at all and everything that happened before was non-existent, pissing Yuanwan off. As for Shen Tianqin, his mind was in utter chaos already. So is Lord Azura this child's dad or not? No. I found a woman this suitable for me with such difficulty. I absolutely can't give up this easily. Shen Tianqin bashfully looked at Yuanwan. President Bai, if you don't want it as a betrothal gift, it can be my dowry instead. So what if they were more powerful than him? He was richer. So what if they had a higher standing than him? He was richer. So what if they were more handsome than him? He was still richer. He didn't believe anybody in this world could resist his charms. Even if his competitors were Emperor Ji and Lord Azura. After Shen Tianqian said that, he inexplicably felt a chill directed at his back. Wait, no, it feels like 2 waves of chills. No, 3 waves. He carefully examined the 3 people present aside from him and by phone. Emperor Ji maintained his calm smile, Lord Azura was expressionless, and the little child, he was even more unpredictable. Yi Wanwan had nothing to say. Where's this fool's integrity? Yi Wanwan took a deep breath then swept her eyes over Ji Xiran and Lord Azura in a seemingly nonchalant manner. She said with a smile, Young Master Shen, my sincerest apologies. I like mountains of gold, of course. However, while I like mountains of gold, I like beauties even more. To me, a beauty's smile can't be bought for 1,000 in gold. Although Yi Wanwan said, a beauty's smile can't be bought for 1,000 in gold, she didn't specify who she was referring to. When Lord Azura heard her, dark emotions flashed through his face, and something flitted through his eyes. Shen Tianqian clutched his chest as though an arrow was shot into his heart and pitifully said, Actually, I'm also really good-looking when I smile. Take another careful look, beautiful miss. Shen Tianqian's face was truly gifted and he could easily leap into the ranks of A-list actors in China, the type who could explode in popularity based on looks alone. Unfortunately, his other 2 opponents set standards off the charts. Yi Wanwan coughed. Ah, young Master Shen, this, actually has nothing to do with looks. Shen Tianqian solemnly glanced at her. Nothing to do with looks. Doesn't your conscience hurt when you say that, President Bai? Yi Wanwan, she seriously wanted to kill him still. At this moment, Tang Tang abruptly looked up at the man standing in front of them. You really aren't my daddy. Lord Azura peered down, his gaze landing on the fair child he hadn't seen in ages, and his iron-walled emotions actually lost a little control. He was silent for at least 3 seconds before coolly replying at last, You have the wrong person. Tang Tang stared at him, seeming to accept his answer. He said with conviction, Sorry, I recognized the wrong person. You're not daddy, my daddy is very gentle. Chapter 1625. As soon as the little fella said that, the man's glacial eyes cracked abruptly, astonishment and complicated feelings flashing through them. Gentle. Yi Wanwan was also shocked, so she missed the obvious abnormality in the man's eyes. What surprised Yi Wanwan was that she didn't expect Tang Tang to actually like Si Yihan in reality, since he appeared not to get along with Si Yihan on the surface. From Tang Tang's point of view, Si Yihan was gentle. That's right, gentle. Si Yihan truly was very gentle back then. She randomly brought a child back to look after and requested him to pretend to be the child's father, and he agreed unconditionally. Back then, she never expected things to end up like this between them one day. Lord Azura and the little fellow were staring at each other. Yi Wanwan glanced at the older man then the younger child, her expression a little dazed. In terms of looks, Tang Tang actually took after his mom more. His nose, mouth, chin, forehead, they all resembled her more. However, his eyes were extremely similar to Si Yihan's. Moreover, this child's typical personality and expressions. She already felt like he and Si Yihan truly looked like father and son back in China. Could Tang Tang and Si Yihan really be? She could be excused for being ignorant of Tang Tang's existence since she lost her memory, but why was the culprit, Si Yihan, also clueless about Tang Tang? After all, having similar eyes and personalities couldn't explain everything. If they delved into things, Tang Tang actually seemed more familiar with Emperor Ji. He. Emperor Ji, Lord Azura, may I speak with you privately? I'd like to discuss a deal with the 2 of you. Shen Tianqian's eyes shifted as he thought of something and requested the other 2 men with a mischievous chuckle. As a member of the four great clans, Shen Tianqian might act slovenly, but his influence originated in his financial resources, strictly speaking, so he was doubtlessly a person every faction wanted to befriend. Regardless of a person's faction, no one wanted to be on bad terms with a god of wealth, so everyone would show him some courtesy. Ji Xiuran and Lord Azura were no exceptions. Ji Xiuran genially replied, "Of course. Lead the way, young Master Shen." Lord Azura also followed them to the nearby clubhouse corridor. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows at the three men's departing figures. What havoc was Shen Tianqian up to this time? Tang Tang fretted with worry. "Mommy, that Shen guy is definitely up to no good." In reality, Tang Tang's guess was rather accurate. When they reached an empty space, Shen Tianqian said to the two men in a conniving manner, "Please name a price, Emperor Ji, Lord Azura." "Name a price?" Ji Xiuran asked. "What do you mean, young Master Shen?" echoed Lord Azura. One man was gentle like the spring breeze while the other man was dark and chilly like a winter night, but they both spoke almost at the same time. Shen Tianqian smiled. "Ah, bosses, I can tell what type of women you two like with a single glance. A vicious and licentious woman like President Bai, she definitely isn't your type. Since it's like that, why don't you help me succeed? As long as you two cooperate with me and withdraw, the price is negotiable." Shen Tianqian's logic was simple. Since he wasn't successful going beautiful Miss Bai's route, then he'd take a different path. He was simply too clever. Ji Xiuran, Lord Azura. Chapter 1626, How about it? This deal is a steal, right? Shen Tianqian asked confidently. Ha! Ji Xiuran's eyes were downcast, amusement flitting through his gentle gaze. Shen Tianqian blinked. "Why are you laughing, Emperor Ji?" Ji Xiuran replied, "How does young Master Shen know the type of women I like? The type you like is proper, noble, and elegant ladies from prestigious families, of course. Isn't that right?" Shen Tianqian looked doubtful. Ji Xiuran retained his smile, but his tone conveyed that he wasn't joking at all. "It isn't." "Huh? What?" Shen Tianqian was stunned. You aren't telling me, you like women like Bai Feng, right? That's illogical." Shen Tianqian didn't expect there to be someone with such a hardcore and unusual taste like him. And this someone was the gentle and graceful gentleman, Ji Xiuran. However, Ji Xiuran didn't admit or deny it. He isn't tacitly admitting it, right? It's fine, it's fine. Calm down. There's one more still." Shen Tianqian finally managed to gather his wits after a day and anxiously turned to Lord Azura. What about you, Lord Azura?" "Apologies, I'm afraid I can't agree to this business deal." "What? You also won't agree? Why?" Shen Tianqian was puzzled. "The literal meaning," Lord Azura replied. After saying that, the man exchanged glances with Ji Xiuran, coldness brimming from each other's eyes. "Damn! What do you mean by the literal meaning?" Shen Tianqian was about to break down. "It can't be the reason I think, right? Can both of these bosses? Has this world gone mad?" On the other hand, Yi Wanwan was trying her hardest to eavesdrop on Shen Tianqian's conversation with Ji Xiuran and Lord Azura, but she was unfortunately too far away and couldn't clearly hear them at all. At that moment, a loud commotion was suddenly heard ahead of them. The packed crowd promptly parted to the sides, yielding a path. A group of guards wearing uniforms embroidered with the Nia family's emblem formidably charged in Yi Wanwan's direction, accompanied by the steward who blocked them earlier, along with Madame Nia, Worryless Nia, and Nia Linglong. Nameless Nia was also present, and the middle-aged man wearing the solemn expression next to him was probably Patriarch Nia. The whole Nia family had set out in full strength. Yi Wanwan raised her eyebrows, sensing that her impending doom had arrived. "Tang Tang!" Worryless Nia charged to the forefront and swiftly dashed toward Tang Tang, sweeping him into her arms. The little fella's brows deeply furrowed as he left Yi Wanwan's side. This woman was too strong, hurting him with her embrace. Quick! Guards! Seize this criminal! Worryless Nya ordered severely. Yi Wanwan was surrounded by a group of Nya family guards in the blink of an eye. The steward with bandages wrapped around his wrist leaped forward and indignantly ran to Madame Nya and Patriarch, pointing at Yi Wanwan as he accused, Patriarch, Madam, it's this woman who acted barbarically in front of the Nya estate and abducted little young master after violently injuring me. Bai Feng, you're too malicious. I knew it. I knew you had ulterior motives for approaching my brother and Tang Tang. It's a shame my brother trusted you so much. How could you do such a cruel thing without even sparing a child? Worryless Nya sobbed and furiously shouted as she hugged Tang Tang, the embodiment of a grieving and furious mother. As for Nya Linglong, she merely stood next to Madame Nya placidly and aloofly looked down her nose at the surrounded Yi Wanwan. Chapter 1627, Tang Tang. Tang Tang, are you alright? You scared Grandma. If anything happened to you, what would Grandma have done? Madame Nya was pale with fright and examined Tang Tang with incessant worry. Tang Tang hastily explained, Grandma, things aren't like what she said. Mommy didn't harm me. Madame Nya furrowed her brows, turmoil evident in her expression. She didn't say anything, but based on her expression, she didn't fully believe Tang Tang. After all, the steward's broken wrist couldn't be faked, and the surveillance did show that Yi Wanwan forcefully took Tang Tang away. Her actions were too impulsive. Next to them, worryless Nya donned a heartbroken and sorrowful expression. Mom, look at how distantly Tang Tang is addressing me. Yet, he's calling a completely unrelated woman Mommy. The steward spoke up timely, the fact that Bai Feng injured me and abducted little young master from the Nya estate is the truth, and every guard present can testify to that. No matter how she's bewitched little young master, this is the undeniable truth. If we hadn't arrived in time, what could have happened to little young master after being kidnapped would be unimaginable. As the steward said that, he kept shooting looks at the nearby guards, and a few guards stepped forward and parroted something similar, verifying his words. Xiao Feng, what's going on? Madame Nya took to this girl as soon as they met and had a decent impression of her despite finding out she was the president of the Fearless Alliance. However, when the problem concerned Tang Tang, the situation was different. How could Tang Tang tolerate his mommy being interrogated and accused unjustly? He didn't wait for Yi Wanwan to respond before standing protectively in front of her. Grandma, Mommy acted to protect me because Steward Feng treated me disrespectfully. It was also my request for Mommy to take me outside, it has nothing to do with Mommy. Yi Wanwan watched the little fella using his tiny figure to stand in front of her and protect her, and her heart filled with warmth and tenderness even though she was having a standoff with her biological parents. She couldn't reunite with them and even had to tolerate being misunderstood and accused. Worryless Nya aggrievedly turned to Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya. Dad, Mom, Tang Tang's been utterly brainwashed by this woman. Worryless Nya impatiently tacked on the charge of brainwashing Tang Tang to Yi Wanwan, so it'd be useless no matter how Tang Tang spoke up for Yi Wanwan and would tarnish her name the more he defended her. Worryless Nya added, Dad, Mom, it was because of the recent restless and unsafe state of the independent state that I ordered the steward to take good care of Tang Tang and prevent him from running around wildly, you know this. The steward was just doing his job and obeying orders. However, this Bai Feng. She clearly knew about this but still took Tang Tang out without permission. Do I need to point out her motive any further? Madame Nya remained silent, so Nya Linglong imperceptibly glanced at worryless Nya, and the woman relentlessly added more fuel to the fire. Mom, she's Bai Feng, the president of the Fearless Alliance. What kind of place is the Fearless Alliance? And who is Bai Feng? She's the independent state's infamous criminal. How could you believe anything someone like her says? She clearly abducted Tang Tang deliberately. If anything happened to Tang Tang, how would I survive? I finally came back and returned to you and Tang Tang after great hardship. I won't allow anyone to harm my son. Dad, Mom, this woman absolutely can't be spared this time. Chapter 1628. After hearing the indignant and furious words of worryless Nya, Madame Nya's expression finally wavered, and Patriarch Nya looked abnormally chilly and stern. He detachedly glanced at Yuanwan before walking toward worryless Nya, his stern expression easing up as soon as he looked at his daughter. Behave, worryless, you don't need to fret over this matter. Father will handle it. Dad, worryless Nya looked incredibly touched. Nameless Nya couldn't stand back and listen anymore. He shot forward like an arrow. Damn, what nonsense are you spouting, worryless Nya? What was that about being vicious, having ulterior motives, and kidnapping? Are you saying I'm vicious and had ulterior motives and wanted to kidnap my own nephew? Worryless Nya reacted like she was terrified and shrank back like she was wronged. Brother, why would you think that? I wasn't talking about you. Nameless Nya was enraged. You weren't talking about me? Don't you know Bai Feng's my sworn brother? If you're doubting her, then you're doubting me. Did you think I was dead? Yuanwan felt rather conflicted about Nameless Nya's act of emotionally jumping out and standing up for her. She originally found it rather hard to accept that this idiot, Nameless Nya, was actually her biological brother, but this guy truly did treat her really well. Though his behavior was seriously too impulsive. He was truly a pig-like teammate who dragged one's feet. Yuanwan originally thought Nameless Nya would definitely believe her if she told him about her identity. Now though, she was immensely glad she didn't tell him. This guy was really endowed in martial strength, but his personality was too impulsive. Counting on him to provide support in her offense was simply impossible. It would already be a blessing if he didn't ruin the plan. As expected, as soon as Nameless Nya spoke irrationally like that, Patriarch Nya slapped him on the back of his head and was angered. Punk, who are you shouting at? Who are you intimidating? Worryless is your true sister. Are you crazy? Just try intimidating her again. Nameless Nya clutched his head and jumped in anger. Damn! How did I intimidate her? I just spoke louder than usual. Can you be any more biased, Dad? Am I really your biological son? Punk, shut your mouth. I'll punish you later. All you do outside day and night is fool around. What kind of people are you befriending? Patriarch Nya ignored his idiotic son and aloofly looked at Yuanwan. President Fearless, it's an honor to meet you. The Nya family and the Fearless Alliance have always minded their own business, but this doesn't mean the Nya family is afraid of trouble. President Bai will have to give me an explanation for today's matter or else I'm afraid you won't be able to leave. As he said that, the Nya family's guards walked forward and surrounded Yuanwan. Currently, Yuanwan still looked a little dazed as the words spoken by Patriarch Nya protectively on worryless Nya's behalf rang in her ears. She could tell that Madame Nya and Patriarch truly loved their daughter, worryless Nya, a lot. She had been misguided by the memory fragments in her dreams and always thought her parents were dead already. She didn't expect them to still be alive and love her so much. Unfortunately, she couldn't reunite with them under the current circumstances and even had to endure such hostility. This was all due to Nya Linglong. This adopted daughter of the Nya family who she personally rescued years ago. She didn't expect to have nurtured a lurking enemy. Chapter 1629. What, Bai Feng, do you have nothing to say? Where's your explanation? Why did you abduct Tang Tang? What did you mean by deliberately befriending my brother, huh? Worryless Nya interrogated her aggressively. A sharp glint flashed through the steward's eyes. He said acidly, Miss Worryless, why else would she have done it? Bro Flattop's infamous for her monstrous crimes, so she naturally kidnapped little young master for money, or she's a monster and simply wanted to commit murder to vent her rage without even sparing a child. If it weren't for the fact that we locked down the independent state and located them here in time, the consequences would have been inconceivable, worryless Nya interjected. Dad, Mom, don't waste your words with her and seize her immediately. We absolutely can't spare a criminal like her. Patriarch Nya had always been an extremely protective person. Plus, Bai Feng targeted his most precious grandson today, so he raised his hand and gave the order, signaling his guards to act. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes, but not a tinge of panic or anger appeared on her face. Instead, she acted like nothing was happening. In response to their accusations, Yi Wanwan nonchalantly said, "Ha, I abducted Tang Tang." So what Miss Nia is saying is that I abducted Tang Tang today with Ji Xiuran, Shen Tianchen, eldest young master of the Shen family, and Lord Azura of Azura. What? Worryless Nia was startled. What do you mean? What does this have to do with Brother Xiuran, eldest young master Shen, and Lord Azura? Yi Wanwan's expression was unfazed as she started crafting her story. Didn't Mr. Steward say it's dangerous outside? So I specifically found several people to accompany me and guarantee Tang Tang's safety. What? Do you not think I, the president of the Fearless Alliance, along with Emperor Ji, Shen Tianchen, and Lord Azura are enough to protect Tang Tang? The fake worryless Nia was so mad that she started laughing. Bai Feng, I think you're acting like a cornered dog who's jumped over the wall. You're running your mouth off and spouting nonsense. How could Emperor Ji, Shen Tianchen, and Lord Azura be accompanying you? Can't you even find a more believable excuse? It was an extremely rare sight for these three men to be together, let alone accompany Bai Feng together. Did she think they were random, ordinary civilians off the streets? However, just as worryless Nia said that, a round of footsteps was heard behind them. A second later, worryless Nia saw a familiar white figure calmly walking toward them and asking in his typical gentle tone, "Uncle Nia, Auntie Nia, what happened? Why are you so angry?" Ji Xiuran. The man stood half a step in front of Yi Wanwan, a clearly protective pose. Worryless Nia and the others were surprised by Emperor Ji's coincidental appearance when they saw a man wearing a flamboyant pink dress shirt and a second man wearing a black suit also walking toward them. The man in the pink dress shirt was Shen Tianchen, while the other man was actually Lord Azura. Worryless Nia stared at Shen Tianchen and especially Lord Azura in shock. She'd only seen Lord Azura once at Shen Tianchen's breakup banquet, but she absolutely wouldn't mistake him. These three people actually appeared at the same time. When Nia Linglong, who was too contemptuous to speak the whole time, saw the three people, her eyes brightened and she softly said, "Brother Xiuran, you arrived at the right time." Bai Feng kidnapped Tang Tang but is trying to excuse herself by saying, "You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."